From what I remember, The Lighthouse was the last movie I went to see in a theater in October of 2019. And for obvious reasons, I wouldn't make it back to a theater until October of 2021 to see Halloween Kills. A questionable choice on my part. Just like in The Lighthouse, it was initially supposed to be only 4 weeks of isolation.
To 4 weeks.
I never had to drink kerosene to stave off the cabin fever, though. The Lighthouse was shot in black and white in 4:3 aspect ratio, which is appropriate for the surreal claustrophobia of the film's tone. Its light-on-plot, heavy-on-symbolism approach can sit comfortably with a cult classic midnight movie like Eraserhead. Both films are in black and white and exist in nightmare worlds where the audio is designed around the sound of blaring noise. In its exploration of identity, it's like Ingmar Bergman's Persona, except it's two archetypal males who fall down an existential rabbit hole. One of sexual repression, addiction, and violence. The fact that a film can remind me of such classics without ever feeling imitative is quite unique. Robert Eggers wrote the film with his brother Max, and I usually prefer auteur directors who write their own films. I would still say The Lighthouse is my favorite film of 2019. Parasite is pretty much on the same level, it's hard to pick one over the other. Now that Robert Pattinson is getting a lot of attention for his performance in The Batman, and Robert Eggers has a new film coming out called The Northman, I figured it would be a good chance to go back to review and celebrate The Lighthouse for being a bold and intense experience with some really nice Lovecraftian touches. It works as a horror movie, even though it's also a period piece, a character study, and a drama. There are only 2 characters and 1 setting, but a lot of my favorite movies have this chamber drama approach where the acting, lighting, cinematography, sound design, and editing all does the heavy lifting, using a simple story to create a moody, immersive world. The Lighthouse is a deep art house film with heavy symbolism, but it's not afraid to show its characters acting embarrassingly human. There are odd bits of comedy thrown in, like Pattinson hitting his head walking up the stairs, or Willem Dafoe constantly farting. The flickering lights and the sound of wind characterize The Lighthouse as a horror story, but like Eggers' previous film, The Witch, it nails the language of the time period. Dafoe, in particular, has the sound of a crusty old sea captain, at times coming across as though he was actually the Greek god Poseidon in disguise.
His coral tongue trident screeches banshee-like in the tempest.
On the surface, The Lighthouse is about a pair of lighthouse keepers who slowly lose their sanity as they ride out a storm with dwindling supplies. On a deeper level, it's a look into a feedback loop of masculinity and sexual repression that eventually results in instability and violence. Nothing feels real about the harsh environment surrounding the lighthouse. The lighthouse itself protrudes from the ground like a big symbolic dick that seems to have a hypnotic hold on Willem Dafoe's character. Willem Dafoe is also well known for the size of his enormous cock. He stands naked, staring into the light, toasting to its beauty, while Robert Pattinson's character is forbidden from attending to the light. The young man exists in a kind of existential hell, an infinite state of limbo where he's subjected to hard labor, and his only respite is to masturbate to a small totem of a mermaid. The only female presence in the film is the mermaid that is washed up on the shore in Pattinson's strange vision. The Lighthouse has a timeless feel to it. It has that otherworldly quality that you might get from an old silent film. It has several incredible monologues from Willem Dafoe and a career highlight performance, and Pattinson's monologue where he finally unleashes all of his grievances with the old man is great as well, giving us the classic line, "God damn your farts, you smell like piss, you smell like jism, like rotten dick, like curdled foreskin, like hot onions fucked a farmyard shithouse."
You have a way with words, Tommy. Oh, damn you!
The opening shot of the film is a dreamy mist slowly fading, the rhythm of the waves pulsating. Two unnamed men, mentioned in the screenplay as only young and old. The old man is Thomas Wake, and the young man is Ephraim Winslow. They pass by the previous lighthouse keepers silently. The sound of a foghorn repeats like industrial feedback. Then there's a shot of the two lighthouse keepers looking directly into the camera. The following shot implies they were watching the ship that brought them sailing away into the mist. Everything about this place is a nightmare. Robert Pattinson opens the cistern, and the smell of the drinking water inside is so putrid he has to cover his face. He pours some substance in, and when it mixes together, it spirals out with the beauty of a galaxy in motion. The spiral up the lighthouse stairs suggests that we are proceeding deeper into the psychological realm. It evokes a subconscious state with the logarithmic mathematics of the spiral that is repeated throughout existence, from the spiral of the Nautilus shell to the spiral of a galaxy. The style of the film is an exceptional work of expressionism, as the exterior world mirrors the interior conflict of the characters in every way. Throughout the film, the lines between fantasy and reality are blurred and eventually broken. In the first hallucination scene, there's a musical swell as Pattinson sees a body floating in the water and quickly sinks under himself, confronting a mermaid. The mood is established through the initial lack of dialogue. At first, we're just watching the young man struggle as he goes about his tasks on the island. The dread is ever present. The first true lines of dialogue are spoken by the old man, a toast that the younger character declines. The dynamic between the two characters is immediately expressed as Thomas Wake will continue to stubbornly exert his will upon the young Winslow.
By God and by golly, you'll do it, smiling lad, 'cause you like it. You like it 'cause I says you will.
Wake seems insistent that Winslow drink alcohol, that it's the only way to deal with the boredom of being trapped alone with someone for an extended period of time. Oddly enough, in the previous film I reviewed, Nightmare Alley, Willem Dafoe was also tempting a character with alcohol. The first time Pattinson drinks alcohol is on a night that is supposed to be their last night. Everything goes downhill from there. Eventually, they have to dig up some rations, and the rations are more alcohol. So we're stuck in a storm together for who knows how long. Let's drink ourselves blind. What could go wrong? After the young man finds a dead gull in the cistern and kills a gull against the warning of his counterpart, there's a fantastic shot scaling up the lighthouse to reveal the change of the wind. The shot between the two men standing at the lighthouse and the extreme wide shot where the lighthouse is barely visible foreshadow the isolation that is to follow. Pattinson is seen chugging liquor, furiously masturbating with the mermaid totem in his hand, conveying the idea of the siren consuming a man with sexual desire and driving him mad. When the totem breaks in half, the isolated, extreme masculinity of the two men has spun out of control into violence. They drunkenly dance like lunatics, and then, in a hard cut, they're embraced in a slow dance. They look each other in the eyes, and for just a moment it seems like they might kiss. Then, they immediately start beating the shit out of each other. At one point, the young man imagines that the mermaid has turned into Willem Dafoe. The sexual repression of extreme isolation is a steady theme in this film. The two men's desire for sex culminates in a violent power struggle. In a strange BDSM turn, the young man puts the old man on a leash and makes him bark like a dog. This is right after he was on his knees begging to be let into the room with the light, as if the light holds some kind of secret truth. The young man eventually believes that the old man is using magic to manipulate him through the totem. It's never really explained if the whole film takes place inside the young man's head or not.
Help me to recollect. Who are you again, Tommy?
Are they even two lighthouse keepers, or is this the damnation that the young man is condemned to because of the decisions of his past? He reveals that he let another man die while working in the timber industry stealing the man's identity and then moving on. The shot where Pattinson confronts his mirror image makes a lot of sense, as there is the man he originally was, Thomas Howard, and the man he became, Ephraim Winslow. Thomas Wake looks on as he has become the Lighthouse, exposing Pattinson's identity. The two men share the name Thomas, meaning that Thomas Wake is perhaps part of the young man's psyche. Dafoe's character even suggests that he is a figment of Pattinson's imagination. That's when they start drinking lantern oil sweetened with honey. The absolute final stages of desperate alcoholism. The forbidden room where the light resides is revealed like some kind of alien device. It has come to represent the young man's loss of sanity and his repressed sexual urges. He reaches into the light and quivers, though we can't tell if it's pleasure or pain. His voice is heavily distorted. It's great sound design that makes for a really terrifying scene. The final shot of the lighthouse is of the young man who has just tumbled down the spiral of the lighthouse stairs, having his body torn apart by seagulls. The fate of the Greek character Prometheus was to have his liver torn out by a bird every day in an infinite loop. Prometheus existed in this existential hell for stealing fire from the gods. It's kind of a metaphor for the danger of man advancing technology forward that could be destructive if not wielded responsibly. But Prometheus is also a heroic character because fire is pretty essential to survival. Thomas Howard is like Prometheus, trapped in a loop of hard labor, no sex, an abusive boss, hopeless drug addiction, resentment, regret, and death. Each time he makes it into the room to see the light, he confronts the true nature of the situation, which is the final image of Pattinson nude on the beach having his body picked apart by seagulls. The gulls are said to have the souls of dead sailors inside of them. Perhaps Thomas Howard is just a seagull dreaming that he's a man. The Lighthouse has everything I could ask for from a film. Robert Pattinson animal abuse, tentacle porn, and buck-naked god of the sea Willem Dafoe. It's a 10 all the way. Sure, it's not for everyone because it's weird and slow-moving with almost no plot, but I love it, and coming back to it and watching it again just reaffirmed it for me. It's a film where you can really dig into the imagery and the language and always find new meaning waiting there for you. I'll be making it to see The Northman soon, which I'm excited about given how much I love Eggers' first film, The Witch, and how much I love The Lighthouse. I think it's going to be pretty good. From the trailer, it does look to be a more conventional revenge tale, but Eggers hasn't let me down with a film yet. The casting is good, plus it's about Vikings, so I'm all in.